Well, George, we are
Well,
live.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody here on chat, write to us a comment if you can hear and see us, please.
Yeah. My goodness. I haven't done this for a while. I feel like a little bit intimidated because I haven't done something like this in a very long, well over a year. So
yeah. People, can you see us? Richard Oliver says, all good.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
George, first of all, I will say something in Portuguese to my subscribers. I will explain then how the dynamic here is going to work. And then we go on fully on English, right?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bem, pessoal, para vocês que estão aqui, que são os meus inscritos, esse é George Atkinson, conhecido como The Fragrance Apprentice. Ele é escocês e atualmente ele mora em Edimburgo, na Escócia. Ele tem um trabalho cinemático, tem um trabalho de direção de cinema, mas também teve em paralelo um trabalho no YouTube de 2013 a 2024. Em 2024, ele decidiu dar uma pausa no canal para seguir com a sua carreira em cinema. Então, eu o convidei para a gente conversar aqui, ele vai contar um pouco da sua história. O nosso bate-papo vai ser feito todo em inglês, porque boa parte da audiência só entende inglês, não sabe português. E boa parte da minha audiência também entende inglês. E aí, posteriormente, eu vou fazer com esse vídeo um processo de legendas, né? Vou colocar legendas e aí quem não entende inglês vai poder ver o vídeo depois, a conversa. Well, George, now we begin. Thank you for coming. Thank you for... We could say you were on exile. You left the exile, you left the mountains.
A sabbatical. A sabbatical, yeah, sure.
A sabbatical year, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're here with us. I'm really honored to have you here in the channel.
Thank you.
Because I told you before, you know that already, but the people here don't know. You were one of great inspiration for me to open my own channel on fragrances. I have a small channel on philosophy and humanities. The people here that doesn't know me, I'm a teacher of philosophy and humanities. I have a small channel, but I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to have some good time talking about a topic that I love so much, that is fragrances. And you were a great source of inspiration. And because of this, I'm really happy to have you here with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I was always up for, like, it's a really, really kind of interesting thing because I have been gone. Going to explain why, going to explain where I've been. And, I was thinking literally a couple of weeks ago, I thought, why don't you just make a video just telling everybody what happened, what's going on. And I think that, I know he's watching, one of my best friends in the community, Ross, TLTG. I was even thinking of saying to him, why don't we just have a live stream where we just chat and I tell everybody, but because I thought that when I left, I thought like I'd just be sort of forgotten, and that's not some sort of fake, humble nonsense. I just thought, well, GG, as the kids say, good game. That was great, and nothing will come of it, and I'll just be sort of one of those guys who did the fragrance things. But very recently, especially, I'll check the comments every now and then, just see what's going down. And there are a lot of people who say, where are you and what's going on and why have you left? And, some of the comments have been really surprising. And I love what I do. I'm very proud of what I do. And I think that I've made some really great videos and really great work, but I'm always surprised when there's somebody saying, like, such as yourself, the videos really inspired me. I have this friend of mine actually who's he's a musical artist. I can't believe that I'm quite good friends with him because I love his music. I adore his music. I'll promote him actually. It's called Blue Jay Mix, right? BLUJ Mix, Blue Jay Mix. I love this guy's stuff. Only got 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. I adore his music. Just totally love his music. And I love his music so much, I actually asked him to remix my short film From Here to There. And he did it. He actually did it twice. I paid him. He did it. I can't believe that he did that for me. Like, obviously it was a job, but I love his stuff so much. I was terrified contacting him initially because his music, you know, like really connects with me. Anyway, we had this conversation because I'm a fangirl whenever I speak to him. I'm embarrassing. I'm this fangirl. And he's kind of weird about it. And in the end, he was like, don't worry about it. Just be my friend. It's fine. But I said, isn't it weird that we make stuff? I've made these videos, you make music. We do it because we want to share our stuff and for other people to love our stuff. But the moment that people really love our stuff, we freak out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're like, oh, that's so surprising, even though that's literally what we've done on purpose. And so in the end, I thought, you know what, I should do a video explaining what went on and what's going on. And, but then you sent me a lovely, this guy is a gentleman, very, very kindly spoken, sent me a lovely Instagram message saying, hey, you caught me literally at the right moment, by the way. I don't know how surprised, because I think I replied 4 minutes later.
Yeah.
And because you just caught me just literally on Instagram, and I just saw this message, and it was, do you want to come and hang out on live stream and talk? And I was like, actually, you know what? Why not?
Yeah. And I was surprised because you answered immediately. I thought
I was on Instagram.
Maybe he will see in a couple of weeks or a month from here, maybe. Literally 5 minutes later, you send me an answer.
Yeah.
So, George, would you like to talk about first why did you in 2013 wanted to open a channel to talk about fragrances? The YouTube back then was really different, was very different from what YouTube is now. Also, the perspective that we have now with social media changed completely. You can create a multi-million jobs here on social media. You can create a business here. But back then, things weren't that clear. And would you like to talk about why you would like to say to us why you wanted to open a channel on fragrances?
Well, I would love to, but my sort of instincts are kicking in and I don't like the lighting. I'm going to turn that light off. By the way, I've got my, I don't know, am I allowed to swear on this channel?
You're free to do anything you want.
I mean, you mostly, okay, I won't get naked, I promise. But you know, I've got my Fuck Me Wow t-shirt. I thought that was good for the occasion, which is part of the Patreon gang.
The Gordon Ramsay video.
Yeah, the Gordon Ramsay video. Is this lighting is okay? I think now that I've changed it, I'll also bring my my little microphone here. So, I think that to create a through line with this story, I want to first start by saying, my dream was and still is to become a filmmaker. That's the main thing that I've always wanted to do. Or in fact, you know, as time has gone on, I've realized that the main thing I want to do is I want to write films, I want to write TV shows, and if I get to direct them as well, that's great. You know what I mean? And that's my dream. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And that's going to be a big theme throughout this entire kind of conversation. But I was 20, 21. I think I've told this story, but for those who don't know it, I think I was like, I don't know, maybe even 18, 19. Yeah, actually, yeah. I was 18, 19. I saw a Diesel Only the Brave advert on YouTube. Sorry, my gut is showing here. Can't wait to see that on the subreddits. Can't wait to see my little pouch, my little kangaroo pouch on the fragrance jerks. Missed them as well. It's good times. It's all flooding back, Hilton, all flooding back. So like Diesel Only the Brave. And I thought, you know, I've never bought myself a fragrance. I'd always been gifted fragrances. I'd always, you know, I just thought, right, I'm just going to buy myself a fragrance and see what happens. And so I bought Diesel Only the Brave on Amazon, and this was back in 2010 or 2009, where now you buy something on Amazon, it arrives the day before that you ordered it because they know. Yeah. Right. But back then it's like, it takes 2-3 days. And I'm like, I've never smelled this fragrance before. What have I done? And so I look up a review of Diesel Only the Brave, and I now suddenly find myself in like this mad rabbit hole of fragrance YouTube. And fragrance YouTube was very, very, very primitive back then. There was like 5 guys. They were all young guys in their 20s or middle-aged men who looked medium, 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 attractive. And they were all really nerdy, and all their videos were very long and talking about like the notes and talking about all this kind of stuff. And it was just very easy to get into it. And my Jeremy was a guy called Hiro. He got rid of his channel. But Hiro Yokozuna, that was my guy. And Robes was my guy. And we can talk a little bit about Robes because that's been, some would say a train wreck, some would say, sad. But listen, I will go into all that. But if I watch a video now and Robes 08 is the guy talking about the fragrances, if I watch it, I'm like, that's my guy. The guru is speaking. Doesn't matter. Like, even now, if I turn on a Mark video, I'm like, that's my fucking guy. And whatever he recommends, even to this day, I'm like, what? It's just like my ears perk up, and I'm like, that's my guy talking. That's my guru talking. And because that's kind of like a conditioned response. So I was into it. I was into it, as Dan My Mick has called it, the magic time. And I loved these guys. I loved the way they talked about fragrances. I was starting to fall in love with fragrances, and I went all in. I worked for Creed, which we can get into. I worked for loads of different brands because I just wanted to be part of it. I wanted to do it. And this idea came to me of like, well, why don't you make a YouTube channel? But you want to be a filmmaker. You want to show off that you're hot shit, right? Why don't you do a YouTube channel where you take the stuff that you're learning with filmmaking and then you put out into the channel, and that means that you'll always be training, you'll always be improving, you'll always be training, kind of like, because at that point I hadn't really sort of tried to get into any jobs or tried to get into the career, and I was a big fan of YouTube, and I was a big fan of the fragrances, and then I created the fragrance wares. And let me tell you something right now. Like, one of the big things that has changed, because I started the channel like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago nearly. Having a fragrance YouTube channel was lame. It was, you're a freaking virgin, right? If you've got a YouTube fragrance channel, you are you're a little freaking nerd. It's not anything. And that's what we knew that we were. I came up with Lex Ellis. I came up with Chad Gentleman's Journey. In my mind, they're like my peers. They're like my guys because we all came up together. Nobody, and what's funny, I always say this, is that at that point, I was the outsider. People really didn't like me because they were like, why is he trying to be a filmmaker? Why is he trying to do like literally something that would define me, in the later sort of, I suppose, years of my career or my popularity, if he's the filmmaking guy. Everybody was saying, like, everybody was like, what the fuck is this? Just talk it to the camera. Why are you trying to put all this kind of crazy art shit in this? So it was a rough time, but a good time. It was a good time. Do you want me to continue? Because I can keep going, or if you have any questions about that era,
People here didn't put any question in the comments, so if you want to continue, keep going.
Sure.
I know the beginnings of YouTube, I remember well. It was really hard. People didn't understand that what that could lead to.
No.
And the people always are judgmental. I know this.
Well, it was like, this was a time where things were changing, and then Jeremy came in, I mean, I
Jeremy
think it's so,
fragrance.
Jeremy. I mean, I'm pre-Jeremy. People forget that I'm pre-Jeremy, because in a way I am sort of like of that kind of era where things were changing. But I was pre-Jeremy. I came in. Jeremy comes in, and I love this so much. I remember this. When Jeremy first came in, everybody was welcoming, because mostly everybody was welcoming generally. People were a bit like, well, some people with me were like, what the hell? But you know what? I want to give a shout out to David from the Fragrance Bros. He gave me a chance. He gave me a chance. And we did some Fragrance Bros YouTube reviews like together. And he basically gave me my break, if you will, because he was a huge channel. And if it wasn't for David, if it wasn't for him taking a chance on me, we wouldn't be having this conversation really, because that kind of gave me a little bit of fuel to propel me forward. Anyway, so that's happening. It's a great time. Jeremy comes in, and at first everybody's really happy to see him, until suddenly he starts wiping the fucking floor with everybody. And he makes like Robes Awaits the guy, Robes Awaits the guru. He's the mayor of this little village, but this village is turning into a city quickly. And Mark, who I fucking love, and Mark is a complicated guy. I'd be pissed, because he's pissed now. He's, like, talks about the free bottle brigade. He's kind of like, I get it. I get where he's coming from. And he's kind of like become this kind of bitter, jaded guy. But like, I get where he's coming from, and I understand where he's coming from, and I have no ill will towards him. I fucking love him. I'd be pissed. Because Jeremy just came in and went, and it was like the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
And every single person who was so friendly and so lovely to him was then suddenly going, well, this guy's buying subscribers. This guy is fake. This guy, but they were wrestling with the fact that this little fragrance community had just blown up, and this guy had done it basically single-handedly. Back when I started, when I had like 1,000 subscribers, I think that Mark had like 60,000. Maybe. I think that might be a bit more, 50 to 60,000. Everybody thought that they were going to be the guy. I did. I thought, oh, good, everybody thought that they could take over Mark at one point. And then Jeremy comes in, gets 500,000, 1 million. Nobody's ever going to take over him now. Maybe Michelle. Maybe Ashton.
Michelle, I know her.
Yeah, Curly,
cute
right?
Woman. She's cute.
Yeah.
She's a cute woman.
Very good friend of mine. I love both the Curlys, very good friends of mine. I love what they're doing. I have mixed feelings with what they're doing, but like it is what it is. So FragCon blows up, and I'm sort of in this wave, because suddenly the newer guys like Imagine Sense and Cascade Sense and Gent Sense and things like that, they sort of grab hold of me and say, you're with us. And I'm like, am I? You're like the next generation of fragrance reviewer. And they're like, no. You actually want to innovate. You actually want to do something. You want to do something different. You're with us. And they kind of took me under their wing. And so that's kind of like the beginnings. And suddenly what I was doing was cool. Right? Instead of like, because now there's a whole new audience. And what I was doing originally, most people were like, what is this guy doing? He's an idiot. He's like, trying to turn film, like fragrances into like film and art and everything like that. But all of the younger crowd, all of the younger guys, they got what I was doing and they loved what I was doing. And this is the kind of the middle period of the FragCom, just before everything goes absolutely to shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now everything is
origins.
top 10 this, top 10 that, top 10 this, fragrance to have sex. For God's sake, man, this is stupid.
Well, there was, look, Hero, I remember watching Hero. He's one of the first guys ever. He's before Jeremy. If he dropped a top 10, it would be dynamite, but he did it rarely. I remember one of the first things I ever saw of it, when he released the top 10 most complimented list, everybody hit the freaking roof. I remember, like, I love Reflection Man by Amouage. I freaking love Reflection because of that. Because it was like, I don't know, it was like, like those, I don't know, it was like going through like some kind of spiritual awakening, watching that because the first top 10 video I'd ever seen. and it was like a fucking drug, because he was like, and number 4 is Lamal, and I'm like, oh my god, what's number 3 going to be? What's number 3? Number 3, number 2, and number 1. And he's like, and the way he looked and the way he was talking, it was like, yo, so this number 1 fragrance. I love the way he presented. He would never tell you. He'd tell you, you know, he'd build it up, hype it. And just as you're about to fucking come, he goes, it's this fragrance. And he goes, Reflection Man. And I'm like, oh, blah, right? And I'm like, Reflection. And I'm like, if I get Reflection Man by Amouage, everyone will have sex with me. Everyone, like, nobody can stop me. Right, and like this is like 19, 20-year-old thinking. Now, Reflection Man's sexy as fuck, but I wore it, and I don't know. I'm just going around Selfridges and things like that, going up to women, going, "Hello," and nothing happened. And I thought, "Oh shit!" But Hero told me that this was, you know,
this fragrance would get me laid.
Yeah. But of course, so look, you grow, you know, I think that, you know, that's why there's a lot of turnaround in the fragrance community. Like, that's why, there's tons of turnaround with people come in, they fall for the trick, which is it's going to get you laid, and it's going to get, you know, it's going to mask your personality, and you don't have to worry about looks and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then finally you're going to, you know, but then I went, you know what? Okay, so this isn't going to get me laid, but I still fucking love this. And I still think that it's an amazing and underrated art form. And so I just kind of kept going. But this is where we come to the portion of the story that's going to start to change things a little bit, right? So I don't think George knows how much he's touched people, not physically. Listen, the court case is still pending. There's no evidence. Okay, Roy, did I touch you? None. All right. Anyway, so there's a part of the story where, to be honest, like, as I was going, it was just a small little YouTube channel. It was not the crazy thing that it became. And to be honest, especially in my early to mid 20s, and I think I said this on a couple of videos, being the Fragrance Apprentice was more enjoyable than being myself. And this character of this kind of, you know, because at first, when I was in my younger 20s, I was just trying to be Hero, and I was trying to be, you know, the positive kind of YouTuber, and, you know, I was trying to be like, hey guys, this fragrance is going to do this, and it's and just hype. But a couple things happened. I started watching the stand-up comedian Stuart Lee. And Stuart Lee, for those who don't know, is very, very acerbic, cynical stand-up. And so my personality kind of drifted towards making the Fragrance Apprentice a little bit more of a cynical, kind of sarcastic, you know, finding sort of that character in a way. And, you know, although he is a character, it's kind of more like he's a turned up version of myself. And so I started to, kind of unknowingly, start to develop the Fragrance Apprentice that we all sort of know and many people love, which is the funny, kind of sarcastic, bumbling, British eccentric, which is kind of all my strengths sort of turned up. And but around about this time, around about 25, 26, I take a break, and I hear this little voice going on in my head saying, you know, this is all good, but like, what about your film making thing? You know what I mean? What about that? You're doing this fragrance thing, but what about, you know, what about the filmmaking thing? And I'm like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And so I try to do something where there's a video that changed kind of everything. Changed everything. And it's not the video that anybody's going to know, because people say, oh, it's the autumn video that changed everything for you. That helped. The classic autumn video I did, the Kisses Rain video, that changed everything for you, didn't it? That helped. But there is one video that came where the Fragrance Apprentice was what it was, and then there's after that what the Fragrance Apprentice became, and that is, I'll have to look up how many views this has got. It's called the Season 5 trailer. It's a big video I spent like £2,000 on. I put so much effort into the, yeah, I spent 2,000 British pounds on this video. This was my Season 5 returning to Fragrance Apprentice video. I spent months, I spent half a year working on this video. I drew
the video has, I think, less than 1 minute, isn't it?
No, that's the teaser. Not the trailer. So I was thinking, like, I was doing seasons and stuff like that, and yeah, so it's got 6,000 views 5 years ago. I put everything into this video. I put art into this video. I put filmmaking into this video. We hired out a green screen studio. I went absolutely just bananas with this thing. I release it. It gets about 1,000 views, and I'm
like your big video.
Yeah,
so much effort.
Like, so much effort, so little reward. And I remember that day so well. It was absolutely fucking crushing. And I was like, I thought this video would, I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, a lot of this story, I'm going to sound quite naive. And some parts of this story don't paint me in the best light. But I'm just going to tell you the truth. Just tell the truth. I don't know what I thought was going to happen with this video, but I thought, like, it would go viral. I'd be pissing on Jeremy Fragrance by the morning. Jeremy would be bowing down, saying, Jesus, that's the most amount of effort I've ever seen in a video. Just take my top spot. You're absolutely amazing. You're a genius. Holy hell. And this was my mindset, which is, more effort equals higher return. More reward. And it was an absolute slap in the face and a cold bucket of water. And I was so angry, so upset, so like pissed. And I spoke to Timmy, Imagine Scent, and he gave me what I've called ever since the Timmy talk. It was a defining moment. Gave me the Timmy talk. He said, George, that's not how YouTube works. You have to, you don't make videos about big fragrances. You don't make top 10s. You don't make, you don't make stuff that the algorithm likes. And this was the first time I'd probably kind of heard about the algorithm. He said, you don't make stuff that a general audience is going to like. You don't make stuff that somebody just browsing. And to be fair to him, now I know what I know. It's like, okay, so let me look at this. The Fragrance Apprentice Season V 4K trailer. That means that fucking means nothing. That is a meaningless title to the everyday person. But I was so stuck in my own head and not understanding, not being smartened up. I start doing top 10s left and right, and I start doing stupid fucking titles like, I don't know, I think I even got silly with it because I thought, right, okay, if you're not going to, I thought, right, if my audience and the fragrance audience ain't going to watch my art, fine, I'm done making art. It's time to make money. And I got kind of like embittered about the fact that my little art project that cost £2,000 had failed. But to be honest, the more, like, the dumber it got in a way, the more views, like, I don't know, I can't remember some of them, but, just like, I never went so crass of like top 10 fragrances that will get you laid or top 10 fragrances that will get you a girlfriend. You can't do that shit. But, things like, fragrances that will emit confidence, or fragrance, the best fragrances of this year or the best fragrances of this season, all this shit, that would just absolutely work. And I started like doing it every single day. So you got to be consistent as well. And in the next 2 months, I made the same amount of subscribers that I'd made in the past 6 years of the channel. And I crossed 10,000. And so now it's like that moment when Timmy kind of gave me this talk was the beginning and the end of the Fragrance Apprentice. But I didn't know that at the time, because it sealed kind of like my fate of, shit, I've got a winning formula here. But as we kind of go along this story, that was the thing that led to me sort of despising certain things about this whole kind of operation. I feel like I've talked for a little while. You know, if you in particular, Hilton, have any questions or whatever, I don't want to just, you know.
I think we are going to a specific subject here that is quite interesting, because I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
I try to do some videos in my other channel that I explain, man, I play piano.
Sure.
And I took a piece of music that is a composition from an opera from Gluck's.
Yeah.
A Italian pianist, Sgambati, had created an arrangement for piano.
Yeah.
On the play from Orphée et Eurydice. Orpheus and Eurydice.
Yeah.
And marvelous melody. The name of the song is called Melody. So
beautiful. I
explained the metamorphoses. I don't know how we call this in English. From Ovid, the Roman poet that inspired the opera. I explained that, and explained a little bit the opera. I explained the music, the song. I explained the song, and later I demonstrate the song on piano playing. A tremendous work. Small amount of views, subscribers. And my fun fact is that my channel of philosophy, my philosophy channel, is not yet monetized yet.
No.
So you work for free. So
yeah, which is something that we'll kind of get to. So yeah, I completely agree, and it's rough because, again, round about this time I decided to do I do go ahead with season 5. It is an incredibly successful season, and I'm now starting to make money, and I'm now starting to get it. I'm starting to get that there's kind of a language, there's a YouTube language, right? And there's a way of doing it. Suddenly I'm at 20,000 subscribers, and this is now a career. This is now a job. This is now like, it's not paying my bills, but it's you know, I'm making, and I'm going to be fully transparent of how much money I made, all that kind of stuff. Not a lot. Like on a really, really good month, the most amount of money I ever made in a month was about $3,000. But that was in December. All the videos were popping off, and that was like just absolutely balls to the walls every day, basically. But that was like, you basically had to treat it as much as like a job as possible. That's not usually the average. The average would be about 700 to 1,500 pounds, which would be great. But you felt as though the entire process was bipolar. And you felt as though you might as well be going to you might as well either be working in Tesco, because then you know that it's guaranteed money rather than this all random shit. Or you might as well go to a casino, because everything's random, everything's crazy, everything's nuts, and you don't know what's going on. And the amount of effort that you have to put in to get that return. My friend Peter from Fragrance View said, you literally might as well be just, you know, stacking shelves at Tesco. You know, it's money that's okay and it's good, but like for what I'm actually doing, you know, if you put that up against if I'd started a videography business and that had been pretty reasonable, you know, I could have made 10x that. But I loved it and wanted to do it, and I was getting a lot from it. And it was an unexpected success. And so I do season 5, which is like 2019, I think. And I suddenly get this idea for this this television series called The Secret of Svalbard. which is probably one of the best things I've ever written. And this is where things start to go a little bit kind of off the rails, because that voice in my brain that's going, this is all great, but like, what about the filmmaking career? It's starting to get a bit louder now, because I'm now 20. Yeah, because I'm now 28, right? 27, 28. I'm getting, and I can see 30. Now that I'm over 30, it's not that terrifying. But I'm seeing 30 and I'm like, okay, so you've got this fragrance thing, but what are you going to do about the thing that you really want to do? And I'm like, it's fine. I'm finding it more and more difficult to kind of suppress that voice. And I start to rationalize and argue back, saying, well, you know, I'm making films on YouTube. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're making fragrance videos. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. But in 1999, when I saw The Matrix, I didn't think to myself, wow, that was amazing. I'd love to be a fragrance influencer. I thought to myself, I want to be a filmmaker. So this is starting to get a bit louder, but I'm having fun. And I made some of the best videos that I've made on season 5, that 2018, 2019 period. One of my favorite periods of being the Fragrance Apprentice. Not my most favorite period. I'm going to get to that. That. But like, there is something gnawing at me, and I write this script, Secret of Svalbard, and I don't know shit. I'm talking like I know. I could imagine that some people will be very interested to hear that I've had a bit of an ego throughout my life that has been rightfully stamped on, crushed, smacked about, and, you know, freaking kicked out of a high-rise building, which I needed. And sure, I've still got a bit of an ego in the sense of, you know, I want my voice to be heard. I want my stories to be heard and stuff like that. But it feels like it's less of a sort of an ego thing, rather than I actually genuinely would like to express myself. And I think that's something, because the moment that you really try and push your sort of ego, you're just going to get smacked, and you're going to keep getting smacked, and you're going to keep getting smacked unless you get the fucking message. And after a while, you've got to just be the bigger man and just say, okay. And so, but at this point, I don't know shit. I'm a 26, 27-year-old idiot who has not really tried to make it anywhere in the film industry. I think I have, but I haven't really. But I write this script. I don't know how I do it. A friend of a friend of a friend knows somebody, and I literally pitch it to a Canadian production company. And they say, no. And at that point, I'm absolutely crushed by it. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this sucks. I got rejected by one person. Mm-hmm. Now I understand in the industry, it's like, that doesn't even count. A friend of mine, one of my mentors, who's a writing mentor, he said, the industry, the film and the television industry, is you getting rejected by higher and higher people who have higher and higher levels of importance. That's the film and TV industry. Rejection is literally, it's like, okay, being frightened of rejection is like you want to be a professional swimmer and you have a fear of water. It's just ridiculous. It's part of the job. But I didn't know that at the time. I'm at this point, I'm really starting to write scripts. I'm starting to develop stories. I'm starting to develop things for my film and TV career. I leave Fragrance Apprentice. I'm going to try and go all in on this Secret of Svalbard. I'm nuts. I've in my mind, I've cast Chris Fragmental as the lead.
Fragmental.
Yeah. And what am I thinking? I'm going to just waltz into a production company and say, hey, I've got this script and I've got this actor. Let's do it. Like, I don't want to be too harsh on myself because I didn't know what I was doing. But the worst thing was I thought I did. And as Seneca, because you're a philosopher, Seneca, the Greek Stoic, said, you're never going to learn a lesson that you already think you know. And that was me when I was 27, 28. I thought I knew what the fuck I was doing. with the film and TV world. Yeah, I mean, Elvis was rejected, J.K. Rowling, you know, the Beatles, whatever. I'm not saying I'm on any of their leagues. I'm just saying rejection is that's how it is. But in a way, I think that the Fragrance Apprentice had become a cushion, because you can't get rejected with a fragrance. You can get some nasty comments, but it's not like you want to upload a video and YouTube says no. You know, you just upload a video.
Different.
Yeah.
The feeling is different.
The feeling is completely different, right? So at this point, I moved to the Isle of Wight to be with my fiance, and this is the Hobbit era. I'm looking in my wardrobe and I'm thinking, I've got all this Victorian clothing. I love Victoria. I love waistcoats. I said, I'm going to grow my hair out. I'm going to look fucking ridiculous, but I just want to be this Victorian. I'll stand out. It'll be so interesting. I'll be this Victorian hobbit, fragrance hobbit, which at first that really pissed me off. But then I realized it was a term of endearment. Around about this time, at this point, the views are getting so high and the channel's doing so well, and I feel like I'm on a hot streak. Suddenly brands do start approaching me, and I do get one of the, I don't think it was Fragrance Net, it was something else where we came to a deal where it was like, okay, do you want to do affiliate links? And I'm starting to think, well, I guess this is my business now. I said very unconfidently. I was like, I guess this is my job now. Like, it's something, it's kind of just become a job rather than something that I actually wanted. I never wanted it to be a job. I just wanted to make videos and put them on YouTube. But now it's becoming a job. I'm earning some money. And it feels like suddenly the Fragrance Apprentice is like a Venus flytrap. You know what I mean? And I'm in the Venus flytrap and it's closing. You know, like, because I think everything's warm and comfortable and good. And I'm like, okay, so I do affiliate links. I think I did affiliate links for 2 months. And I just went, I don't fucking like this. Because I knew that there was a stigma around it. And I just thought, well, I'm not a reviewer anymore. I'm not somebody who's doing a YouTube. I'm now a salesman. I'm now, like, this whole channel is now a contrivance. And at this point, I'm starting to get it where I can push the algorithm a little bit and I can bend the algorithm a little bit so that I can do an artistic video, but understand the principles and the rules that will keep me grounded in the algorithm. And then you get things like the sillage video, which just blew the fuck up. The one where I'm on the beach, I'm talking about sillage.
Yeah.
That
talking
blows
the downfall of creed.
Downfall of creed, that blows the fuck up. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And then suddenly it's this massive hot streak. I get rid of the affiliate links because I just don't like it. I just feel fucking filthy, to be honest. And that's just a fucking fact. I just felt like, I don't know, because I'm starting to feel like the relationship with the audience is starting to become different. Like I'm not a guy just chatting like I'm your mate. I'm now trying to actively sell you something, and I'm trying to actively manipulate you into doing something that's going to make me money. And look, if I make a film or if I write a script and somebody buys it or options it, you're damn right I want that money. If I make a film and it goes onto market and it gets distribution, you're damn right I want money because I put effort into that. And I put my soul into that. But me talking about, because I could feel myself going. That's just the honest truth. I was thinking to myself, I could put this on my top 10 list, but this fragrance will get me more money. And you start to play games with yourself. Well, you know, I do like this more. Do you? Or are you just trying to get, more money from people? And I started to feel like I was falling into this kind of shit where, and I'm not a saint, by the way. I'm not saying I'm like, the image of virtue and the, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that for me personally, I was like, this isn't, I don't like this. I don't like where this is going. I don't like what this is turning into. I just want to make videos. I would like some money off the ad revenue because I earned it. I 100% earned that because that's like the TV model. You put it up, put the adverts up. That's fine. That I can understand that. But trying to talk about fragrances and saying you should really buy, you should really buy this, and then I get a 20% cut off of it. I mean, there is an argument. There is a rational argument that says, well, you could, why not? You could argue that. Why not? But I didn't like it. And so I just got rid of it. And Timmy, who was kind of my coach, saying, you're leaving a lot of money off the table there, George. And I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it because it was making me feel like a whore. And I don't want to feel like a whore. I want to feel like an artist, and I want to feel like an entertainer. Sometimes.
What about these fragrances that you had an affiliate link?
Yeah.
Did it was fragrances that you like, you use, or you wouldn't use? For instance, let me give you an example. There are many fragrances that I hate.
Sure.
And that I don't use, and I wouldn't recommend anyone to use.
Sure.
These kind of fragrances,
sure.
I would never be able to use an affiliate link to them because
sure.
I don't sell what I don't use.
Sure.
Yeah? But if we are talking about a fragrance that I really love, I really like, I really love, I would give to someone special. These kind of fragrances, I would sell them to. Did you have this figured out?
Yeah. I mean, I was never going to say something along the lines of like, I absolutely hate, Dior Parfum, but here it is on my top 10 list and you should go buy it. It was not like that. It felt more subtle. It felt more like, well, I do like this fragrance, but I know that if I do that if I pick this fragrance, which I also like, that's going to get me more of a 20% bump. And it felt forced. It felt as though I was being forced into something rather than making organic decisions, and I didn't like it. And I just felt like it felt like my soul was being kind of slowly drained out of me a little bit. So I cut that off. And then when you think AI comes along to make things even more complicated. Well, we'll get into that. But at this point, I'm doing things like something that's actually funny, because at one point, I not many people know this, but like I was the first person to do a Patreon for a fragrance page. I did it back in 2015, and I got absolutely shot down because one of the other problems is that there is a stigma with the fragrance audience, because they don't want, it's like whenever they catch a slither or a sniff that you're making like money off of anybody or off of anything other than YouTube ads, they even have problems with that. They'll fucking take you down. And so there was that. I understood there was a stigma around it. Then, I've been offered a few times to make my own fragrance. I won't say the companies, but, people can figure out probably who they are. But yeah, I got asked a couple of times, do you want to make your own fragrance? And now this was a weird thing, because there was two things that were bothering me. The first thing is, I really didn't like most of the fragrances. I didn't like the principle of it, which is, okay, so I'm a fragrance reviewer and I'm going to make my own fragrance. Gee, I want it is a conflict of interest. It is. Or rather, I can see why heavily that's a conflict of interest for people. And the whole Navitus thing, all that kind of stuff, I'm not going to try and get your channel in trouble here, but it was bullshit. Like everything was just like, everybody can see kind of through what's going on. Nobody's really enjoying it. Nobody really likes it. And you have these fragrance reviewers going, yeah, well, I've made my own fragrance, which sounds good in principle. It sounds good on paper, but then like they're talking about it on their top 10s and they're talking about it on their reviews. And it just kind of like, there was just this weird disconnect and this weird feeling. And to me, I was like, well, I don't want to make fragrances. I just want to talk about them. And then to me, I thought, well, those who can't do, they review. That was my mindset. Those who can't do, review. My mindset's changed on that a little bit over time. But I'm just like, whatever. So anyway, a couple of people say to me, do you want to make your own fragrance? I'm like, so I've got that in my head. But the other part of my head is now that voice is really getting loud, saying, hang on a second, you're telling me that you've gotten so far deep into this where you just wanted to be a filmmaker, and now you're being offered people, you know, you right now, Hilton, right this second, I could pick up the phone and I could say to probably one of 5 companies, I would like to make a fragrance. I'd like to make a Fragrance Apprentice fragrance. And within probably a very quick turnaround, it could happen. What I want is that I ring up one of 5 film producers and say, I've got this script.
Yeah.
And I want to make it. And that happens. And so like my brain's starting to kind of go, you're now falling into this weird place where you are now kind of like a fucked up kind of victim of your own success. Right? Which was weird. Then
And there is a trap.
Yeah, that is a trap.
That is a trap. The longer you stay in some place,
yeah,
holding a project, anything, the longer you stay, the harder it is to get out.
Right. And I could start to feel it. And then season 6, which was lots of different things, and then, you know, the Isle of Wight, 10 fragrances I forbid you to buy, all this stuff. Some of the greatest stuff I've ever done on the Fragrance YouTube.
Excellent video, channel. By the way. So funny. Really
thank
funny
you.
attitude.
Thank you. I love it. I'm so, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not proud of what I did. I'm very proud of what I did and what I achieved. But there's now this voice going, look, is this all that it's going to be for you? Are you going to turn 50 years old and you've got these scripts, you've got these ideas, you've got these different things, you've got these TV shows, you've got these films. Are you going to turn 50 years old and the only thing that you ever did was the Fragrance Apprentice? And that's starting to like scare me a little bit, because now I'm thinking like I'm now starting to hide away from the fact that I've actually completely ignored and sort of like been negligent with my film career, because I don't fucking have one at this point. And so I freak out and I go, right, and I'm going to do a film, and I do From Here to There. And in amongst all this, do From Here to There. It's a great film. In fact, I didn't do From Here to There. The first film that I did was Grace, which was a terrible film. Just going to say that to you. It's why nobody, I think people can watch it on YouTube. Not a very good film. It's called Grace, and Effortless, but you can go on Effortless Pictures, watch Grace, and then watch From Here to There, which is now on Circuit Cinema. We got signed to a streaming service, which is great. Mountain of difference, because I shot Grace like a Fragrance Apprentice video. We shot Grace like a Fragrance Apprentice video, and it fucking sucked. And now I'm starting to go, shit, like you're now treating all your projects like they're YouTube videos, but they're not. Like what you do on YouTube is not the same as being a filmmaker. And so then I start to take, you know, filmmaking and script writing and stuff like that deadly seriously. Like really, like you got to book your idea. It's a whole new universe. It's a completely different way of looking at things. I think I've done some very cinematic stuff, and I think that probably the most cinematic video I've ever done for me personally, where I actually look at it and think, you know what, everything I could have done possible I did, was I think it was the summer 2021 video. Like a lot of golden hour shots, great soundtrack. That's probably the video I am most proud of everything. It doesn't have to be everybody's favorite, and I know that loads of people have different favorites, which is a great compliment, you know, in the way that lots of people have different videos that are their favorite. But to me, that was me trying to learn more of the cinematic stuff and learn, take the filmmaking thing a lot more seriously, because basically I had been given a sort of a false positive with people saying, you're so cinematic, you're this, you're that, which I all appreciate. But when it came down to it, when it came down to actually doing Grace, I failed. Like fully failed. And some people say, oh, it's not that bad. But I look at it and go, that's not a film. That's a YouTube video. So we raised 20 grand. We did from here to there. And I hired professional people to shoot it. I directed it. I wrote it. I think I wrote a good script. I think it's a great film. I think it's a good script. I think it's nothing compared to what I can do now, but it's great. But I have to say that from here to there was, you know, when I did it and when we shot it and I went to the film festivals, now the voice is absolutely screaming at the top of its lungs, saying, this is what you want to do. This is the world that you want to be in. And at this point, Hilton, you know, like I've done, you know, like 9 years of my life, 20, you know, my entire 20s I've given to the Fragrance Apprentice, essentially. I've done over 350 videos at whatever, or 375 or 400 at that point. And I'm thinking, you know what, like, I don't know what more I can do here. And at this point, the community is starting to like regress a little bit, where it's like, just, you know, everybody talks about it. It's just bullshit, right? Like top 10, now we are fully going top 10 fragrances to make her wet, top 10 fragrances to make her laid. Now, I don't blame the curlies or whoever does that, because it works. Yeah. Right? It works. And this is a job. One of the big things that made me go, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think it's time to think about exiting all this, was going to Essence in 2023. Now, I loved going to Essence. I met Michelle and Andrea for the first time, met a lot of different people for the first time.
In Los Angeles?
No, that was in Milan. But I met a lot of people. Like I met Judah Rose, lovely girl. I met Demi Rawling, lovely human being, actually. Very different from when you see on the videos. In real life, very, very lovely, lovely human being. But I'm meeting these people and they're talking to me about fragrances, but they're not talking to me about fragrances in the way that, like, they're talking to me as if they are terrified that if their fragrance content doesn't work out, they will have failed their entire life, which is fair, because that's their job. That's their business. Yeah. That's their fucking livelihoods. And these people, fragrance isn't fun anymore for them. It's their fucking job. Nobody's having fun. You know, nobody's enjoying themselves. This is as important to them as an entrepreneur starting a business. And I felt that energy, and I was like, you know what? I feel like this isn't. I feel like I was pretending, in a way, at that point. And you know, I really, really wasn't liking what I was kind of seeing. And then in November of 2023 or October, I can't remember I think it was October, I just went, you know what? I can detach myself. This is a business. This is, you know, this is my job now. This is going to be my job. I've made it. I should be happy. I should be grateful. I've got this community. I've got these people who love my videos. I should be absolutely grateful. I've done some great video. I mean, I love many of the videos. I've not watched any of my videos in like 2 years because I've done them. You know, I used to watch I was a fucking sycophant. I used to watch my videos all the time going, oh, fucking hell, how great is this? But now I barely watch. I have not watched my videos for 2 years, but I'm very proud of them. And they're now like great memories, and they're like holiday pictures in a way. I was like, oh, right. Yeah. I was living here and this, and oh yeah, I did that. And that's funny. And like some of the stuff, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that. Like, can't believe I pulled that off. Can't believe that I achieved this. Can't believe I achieved that. Can't believe that this worked. And, you know, I read the comments and go, this is great. But, and every single video I did, apart from maybe kind of like near the end, I was very happy with, and I was loving it, and I put my all into it. But I suddenly in October in 2023 go, right, this is going to be a business, and I'm going to treat it like a business, and I'm going to, you know, so that I can earn some money and do whatever. I'm going to really, really go for it and everything like that. And maybe try and get a sponsorship or something. I start the Patreon. I do loads of different things. Do the fragrance consultations. That was actually one of my favorite things I ever did. Loved those fragrance consultations so much. Met so many great people. That was lovely. So great. And one of the greatest moments of your fragrance. We'll do questions because I'm on a bit of a tirade here. We'll do questions afterwards. But I loved it. I loved the fragrance consultations. The Patreon was great and everything. And then almost in January, like I've committed to it, and I'm uploading videos and I'm doing everything. I've gone full Fragrance Apprentice. And then in January, something switches in me and goes, I fucking hate this. And I think that what it was, was the Venus flytrap was about to absolutely permanently close, and this was going to be my life. And the only thing that I'd ever done, and the only thing I'd ever do, was the Fragrance Apprentice. And I just remember thinking in January, I do not love this anymore. I don't understand as a business what I'm trying to achieve. I don't understand as a community where everything is. I don't know. I mean, this had kind of happened previously, and I'd made the fragrance addiction documentary. You know, I'd had these thoughts previously. The Mugula documentary was great, but I tried to force it, and I think that, you know, I forced it so hard that it absolutely just blew me back, and was like, you have failed at what you actually want to do. You have given up on what you actually want to do, which is be a filmmaker. You made your little short film, and that was great. Don't want to talk down on that. But I hadn't thought about marketing. I hadn't thought about promotion. I hadn't thought about all these different kinds of things that I actually needed to do. Made a great film, but nobody was knocking on my door. Nobody was ringing me up saying, Jesus, you're the guy who did From Here to There. Let me give you a job. So I'd done like a film, and it was a great film, and I'm very proud of it. And, you know, we secured a streaming service on it recently. Got that for a Circuit Cinema have got it for 4 years, and I'm going to be making money off of it on that, and that's great. But that's after all the lessons I've learned in the past year. But yeah, like in January of 2024, I was like, I do not love this anymore. I fucking hate this. I'm not doing what I actually want to do. There is so much more than I can do. I have given 10 years of this. I've done over 400 videos. There is nothing left for me to do. And let me tell you something, for those who absolutely love my videos and stuff like that, thank you so much. I'm not angry at anybody apart from myself. I'm so happy that everybody enjoyed my stuff. Everybody loved my stuff. But like, there's the Fragrance Apprentice videos, and then there's the scripts I've written. And let me tell you, the scripts that I've written, Secret of Svalbard, Memory Lane, Conform 5, all these different films and television series, Tempest Fugit, Where is Dave McKellen, right? This is what I was born to do. This is what I've always wanted to do. When I watched, you know, my dream is to make something like Severance. I don't know if you've seen Severance. I've mentioned it. The TV series Severance. My dream is to make the TV series like something like Silo or Star Trek Next Generation or Battlestar Galactica. That's my thing. That's what I've always wanted to do. And the scripts that I have, everything like that, that's what I wanted to do. And the Fragrance Apprentice had become like this weird kind of thing where I felt as though to stay with the Fragrance Apprentice would basically to be a coward and to not bet on myself.
Because it was your comfort zone.
It was you're right. It was 100% my comfort zone, you know, and it was easy. You know, you do a video, you know, you make some stuff, but it was also, and you upload it, and some people call you a genius. Some people say that your head's too fucking big, but whatever, you know what I mean? And that was another kind of weird mental thing, because like the more the more popular it became, the more extreme the two sides of the comments were. You know, I had one day I'd have somebody saying, "You're a fucking genius. This video made me cry. You know, I love you. You're amazing." And then the next day it would be like, "Fuck you. Tasting fragrances suck, and you know, you've got thin hair and you're fat." And it's like, wow. Like, neither of these people know me, but I'm, you know, affecting people in such a in this way. And that's kind of like, that's a bit of a trip, but that is a consequence of when you put yourself out there, and you have to deal with it. It's part of the work, part of the job. But like, you know, so I decide to, another thing was like, every idea that I have, every creative idea that I have at this point, like, I'm really starting to wrestle with stuff because there's like two sides of me at war with each other. Every single idea that I'm having, I'm thinking, how can I rope a fragrance into this? How can I even, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but Fragmental said this. It was like, I come up with a creative idea and I'm thinking, fucking hell, how do I shoehorn a fragrance into this? And I still love fragrances. I'm wearing Xerjoff 400 right now, but I'd run out of things to say about it. I'd run out of stuff that I was truly passionate about it. And I'd said everything I had to say. And I felt as though I was kind of like outstaying my welcome, which is a real thing that can happen. And I was like, how many fucking times can I say that Creed, you know, are shit and they put up prices? How many times can I say that I loved your arm? How many times can I say that Tobacco Vanille reminds me of Christmas? How many times can I say that Millésime Imperial is my favorite fragrance? Like, I've done it. I've said it. And I felt as though I was wasting my time, and I also felt as though I was wasting the viewer's time, because by the end of it, I was like, you have nothing new to say. Like, people would say this. People would say, like, this is why I was shocked when people say, come back, because there was a large amount of people say, like, all your top 10 videos are the same. You just say the same fragrances. You're saying the same things about the same fragrances. And I was like, fuck, that's GG. Good game. It's over.
Yeah.
And so by February, I was like, I had to have a kind of a word with myself and say, you are forcing this shit. And I know that some people could just be like, well, how difficult can it be? You know, just sit down, just make a video about a fragrance. Like, how fucking difficult is that? But with me, I felt as though there was another expectation, you know, which is, I can't just talk about fragrances, nor would I kind of want to. I got to make art, which is a completely fair demand and a completely fair desire. And
Yes.
and I've got to, and I, in the end, I just thought, you know what, it's just better to just say nothing and just leave it. And so, but at the same time, I was like, look, your head's not in the right place. Don't drop the Millésime Imperial video yet, because this is not a consequence. This is a consequence of frustration rather than a peaceful ending. You know what I mean? Rather than a, I've done everything, like it wasn't that. It was more like, Jesus, I've got this other thing to do. And so that's why I left, the way I left. And I didn't mean to leave anybody sort of hanging. I didn't think I was going to leave anybody hanging. You know, I didn't think that there would be, you know, like this. I don't want to read this. Honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat myself. I want to do more stuff, but I think some people just want to see me as the funny, angry cruise man. And you know what? Like, that's fine. Like, I'm the cynical, cinematic guy. Just write 6 times what the world needs. Don't tempt me, right? That's actually a good idea. But it was like, I just felt as though I was kind of restricted to, and look, that happens all the time. I saw the Christopher Reeve documentary on Sky the other day, great documentary, and he was just Superman to a lot of people. That was who Christopher Reeve was. He was just Superman. And to a lot of people, all I've ever been, and probably all I'll ever be, is the Fragrance Apprentice, and there's nothing I can do about that. Not a damn thing I can do. So then I decide, right, I'm done. I've said what I need to say. I've said what I want to say. I mean, fucking hell, over 400 videos. You know what I mean? Like that, I didn't even realize until I finished. I was like, really? There's one guy, I can't remember the name of the guy. I apologize, but there's a guy who's literally watching all 400 videos, like in order. Right now, like I get a comment every now and then, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on this video," and like that's just amazing, and it'll always be there. And look, I want to give people kind of what they want, but trust me, they didn't want to see more Fragrance Apprentice videos at that time, because it would have just been phoned in. It would have just been cynical. It would have just been me trying to make money. And so I quit the Fragrance Apprentice. A horse running, thank you. Yeah, I see you. Which video are you up to, buddy? But yeah, it was over, and so yeah, Hilton, I'll let you take over. I can talk about the year that I've just had, but you know, I would love to know your thoughts on this, Hilton, as a philosophy teacher as well. I'd be interested.
One thing that for me is interesting to hear from you is because it's usually the common struggle that we have on existential crisis.
Great. Let's go.
Because this is really common scenario. We do everyone who sets a goal on life will face this kind of dilemma.
Yeah.
Because every time we have what we want to do, what we want to achieve, and we have the circumstance, the real life.
Yeah.
And we could say that when these two are together in the same spot, you can consider yourself a really happy man, a really privileged person, because you're doing what you want, what your soul inspires you, what inclines you, what you bends for. I don't know if it's correct to say to bend your your actions in this direction.
Yeah.
And this is the circumstances favorable, when the circumstances favorable. So when we do have this, is way to go. The life is I don't know how to say this in English, in a figurative way. Life is easier when we do have this scenario. But for 99% of the people in the world, we don't have this two coming together, and we need to choose. And do you know Milan Kundera? He was from Czech Republic, but he's passed his last years in Paris.
Right. No, I don't. I'm not aware.
He wrote a really beautiful book, really beautiful book called The Unbearable Lightness of Being.
Yeah.
And there he has a kind of existentialist philosophical thinking, the way he puts his characters. And he has a great quote that says that we only live once. And it's really hard to choose. This is our great dilemma, because we are not prepared for life, because we live only one time. The things, life doesn't repeat itself, and every time we need to live without a proper training before. Let me see if I can find the quote translated to English, because it's just marvelous.
One of my favorite quotes is, "You only live once, but if you do it properly, once is enough." I always like that one.
I don't know how to look this in English. Life is unique. Quote. Let me see if I can see it. But one thing that is worth mention, there's a lot of quotes here, but well, I will waste some time looking for this. Let us not waste time looking for this.
Sure. Well,
but there is a thing.
Yeah.
One friend trying Gemini, Hilton. How could I try Gemini?
What I would say is that I completely agree, and I felt as though, you don't know what you don't know, and that's kind of where I felt I was at the end of season 6, where I felt as though I hadn't even given myself a chance properly to explore filmmaking. Yeah, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. That's a good one, though. That is a good one.
It's not this quote. It's not this quote.
No.
I have another computer here.
Right.
I will look here in a moment, but I also would like to say something. I would like to say another thing.
Sure.
Like this, in this context.
Yeah.
That the situation you was living, I think is a really a hurting one situation, because I understand you completely, because it's happening to me. I
think a lot of people go through that. I think a lot of people are faced with a choice.
I'm going through this, and I understand perfectly what you was trying to say, because you have a life project here, but you see that your actions is taking you away from this.
Yeah. Essentially.
And I do understand that when the Fragrance Apprentice was first a hobby, a fun hobby, and sometimes we can make a fun hobby something profitable.
Yeah.
And this tends to maintain us in this hobby, and later transforms it into a full-time job. But at the same time, you are aware that this is not what you want to do. It was meant to be only a hobby, not to be your life.
It was only supposed to be like, I thought I would only have that channel for 4 years maximum. That was maximum. And to your point, because it was effortless, and because I wasn't like focused, I sort of just let it happen. I think that's why a lot of people fall into this trap, because it just kind of happens. And that's some of the best things in life. If you try and push and try and force, and you try and make circumstances happen, that can push you back. But because I sort of had no resistance to the Fragrance Apprentice, and because, I mean, quite frankly, it was easy to do. If you really kind of boil what the Fragrance Apprentice is down to, it is a low budget, YouTube channel. Every single thing that was very good was made with constraints. I had to be creative. I had to think of this and that. I had to think of that. And it was a tremendous amount of fun. And one of the things that I don't want people to misunderstand is, like, I had some of the best times of my life doing the Fragrance Apprentice. I loved the Fragrance Apprentice. And this is why I have not closed the door completely, because I'm sure that one day I will return and do stuff. I mean, obviously, if I'm like, if it's like in 5-10 years, then maybe nobody will give a shit. I don't know. But, it was I have amazing memories of the Fragrance Apprentice. I've done things and seen things and made things that nobody else has. And it's been an incredible fun time and an incredible honor to do it. And to gain over 50,000 subscribers, and to get all these different people to watch and love my stuff, that's not a small feat. And I'm not saying that any of it was not worth it. It's just like, after a while, it's time to, you want to know when it, like, look at television series, right? They only last 3-4 years. I'm rewatching Stargate SG-1. Great series. Lasted 10 years. But after 8-9 seasons, people were like, this is getting a bit old. This is getting a bit tired. And I didn't want to be that either. I was conscious of that. I was thinking, this is, am I just going to be the old fragrance? I mean, I know I'm only like 32, and I stopped, but you know what I mean? Like, people are just going to see, like, I started to see it a little bit. People saying, oh, your newer videos aren't as good as your older videos. And that is a consequence of just existing for so long.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
And one dilemma that the content creators that do achieves a certain level of fame, let's say like the fame or prestigious, or they are recognized as someone relevant. It's really hard to deal with the natural decadence of losing this ancient fame he had. I don't know if you
No, I get that. Yeah.
And I think this was the fear that you saw in those YouTubers when you saw them. They was worried if the content lose relevance.
Yeah, like all of those older guys, got swept away. One thing I am proud of is I did stay as relevant, I suppose, as possible for a very long period of time. But I'd rather just kind of like stop and then burn myself out. And I felt as though I was starting to just think, does anybody even fucking believe any of this anymore? You know what I mean? Does anybody even believe what I'm doing anymore? Like, I felt, and that's why I was trying to, reimagine stuff. I was trying to reinvent and trying to do all this stuff and all of these paradoxes. You've got to be creative, but you've got to, the YouTube algorithm's got to be cool with you. You've got to be new, but you've got to be old. You've got to be this, you've got to be that. And in the end, I was like, look, why am I spending all this energy on this when I could be spending my energy on the thing that I actually want to do? And I've done it with the Fragrance Apprentice, and it was just starting to feel stale. And I know that it's like, I treat the Fragrance Apprentice probably more like it's a television show, or like a form of like an entertainment series, rather than what it truly is, which is, it's just some bloke talking about fragrances. But it always meant more to me than that. I always wanted to give more than that, because anybody can do that. Anybody can just talk about fragrances and whatever. I wanted it was absolutely important to me that I could show the emotion, the humor. Everything had to be good. Everything had to be great. Everything had to be a standard that was really, really high. I always had high standards with the Fragrance Press. I mean, some of them aren't, like some of them, you could tell I was not having the best day or being a bit lazy about certain stuff. But I didn't want it to just be a YouTube channel. I wanted it to be a TV series, essentially. But that's going to burn you out. And so that's where I came to. And I'd love to tell you a little bit. I mean, I think we could probably go 2 hours. But I can tell you about what happened next. But it's completely up to you. Completely up to you.
I'm here for you, man. If you want to take more time, take more time. We have free time here. We don't regulate the time. Before we enter in this section of our conversation, I found the quote in Portuguese, and I asked the Gemini to translate to us in English. Here's the quote. The first: there is no way to verify which is the right decision, because there is no term of comparison. Everything is lived for the first time and without preparation. It's as if an actor were to go on stage without ever having rehearsed. But what can life be worth if the first rehearsal of life is life itself? That's what makes life always seem like a sketch. However, even sketch is not the right word, because a sketch is always a project of something, the preparation for a painting, whereas the sketch that is our life is not a sketch of anything, is a sketch without painting. I don't know if it's properly translated, but I think it is. It passes the context of the question, but there is some, before we go to this next section, let's say what happens next. There are some questions the audience put here in the comments. There is this one from Roy. What was the greatest moment of your fragrance life? on and off YouTube. What and who made the strongest impression on you? If you want to answer that.
Yeah. I think that like coming up with an outrageous idea, like I would treat, you know, some of the videos like films and challenges. Like the summer video, the summer 2021 video, that was a huge challenge because I was shooting everything in blue light or golden hour. And I thought, I want a whole video in golden hour. And it took like 2 months to shoot that video because you only had an hour to shoot everything. And I thought, Jesus, like it was killing me making that video. And then it happened. And then as I was editing it, I was like, holy, you know, I think that doing stuff with Chris, you know, I found in Chris a lot of, you know, the friendship that I had with Chris was one of the best things I ever gained from doing this. And it was like, just crazy. Yeah, Chris had a huge effect on me. Timmy obviously had a huge effect on me. George Zaharoff, I think, had a, I don't know if I should even say this, but me and George maybe aren't on the best terms as much as we were, but he just said something that just really pissed me off after I left, which I won't repeat, but he was not particularly happy about the fact that I'd left. Wasn't happy about it, which I was shocked at. And but what I will say is I still love, like, I love George's attitude towards things, and I love, like, he showed me kind of what's possible, I suppose, taking it as a business, trying to do it as a business. And I still love his fragrances, even though I'm not particularly happy with him right now. Still wear tobacco, still wear, well, mostly tobacco, to be honest. Just freaking love tobacco and signature as well. But yeah, I don't think that there's too much drama in saying all that. But it was an amazing time. It's a bit of a blur as well, because in a way I've kind of protected myself just by not thinking about it, because then I think then I'll start to miss it and I'll want to do it. But kind of like as a bit of self-preservation, I've kind of distanced myself, you know, from it to get on with what I've actually wanted to do. But yeah, I'll leave some more questions with you.
Well, there are some questions also here. Well, what was the inspiration behind Dov Laszlo? I love this character with the wig and the mustache.
Yeah.
The lawyer calling, oh, he's just taking my kids. She won't take my kids.
I think that I just adored, I adore like 70s retro vintage stuff. And I'd always wanted to, well, it's actually a funny story because I wanted to review Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I'd seen Chris do a review of Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I thought, that's the best review I've ever seen of anything. I have to try and now outdo that. So he kind of laid a benchmark. And I thought, what if you just did a 70s thing? And I'm a big fan of Mark Maron. Big fan of Mark Maron, the stand-up comedian. I'm a big stand-up comedy guy. Big stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy very much. I think that's hopefully why I'm funny. I don't know. I've always considered doing a bit of stand-up comedy, but I just think I'd freak out. I think I'd just be too scared to be on stage. But I love Mark Maron, and I just thought, you know what, like, why don't you just do a character that's kind of like Mark Maron, you know? And then it just became more and more, again, like more and more outrageous. That was like, okay, so first of all, this is going to get fucking no views. Nobody will watch this. But sometimes even if I knew there were going to be no views, I just want to do it for me, for my own kind of creative kind of outlet. And so I did it, and I loved it. I think the Tyrannosaurus Rex is one of the greatest like productions. It's only got like 10, 12, 15,000 views. Who cares? I love doing it. I felt good when we were doing it. It was funny. And then I brought him back for the autumn video. And I think that the thing is that I was always nervous to bring back Dov Laszlo because I thought, well, I nailed him the first time. I don't, like, again, you don't want to force like bringing him back just to bring him back. There always had to be a reason. And when I thought of him speaking to the lawyer about his divorce, that's when I thought, okay, right, well, I'll bring him back. So again, it's like I'm treating the Fragrance Apprentice and everything about the Fragrance Apprentice extremely seriously. Like I'm treating it as though I'm a fucking auteur, really, which, you know, it is what it is. Because I just think, well, if I treat my little YouTube channel professionally and like an auteur, then that's always going to be training for if I get the big opportunities. You know, so I you know, there's a lot of deep thought and maybe kind of overthinking with a lot of stuff, to be honest. But yes, Dov Laszlo's great.
There's a repetition of the same question here.
Sure.
People are asking if you will do someday the Millicene Imperial video.
Well, yeah. I mean, one day. That day is not today. Look, I'm going to tell you right now. I'd want to have a final run. You know, I'd want to have a final season in a way, a final period to say good. It's been, look, even though I've had some real problems with it, and it's been a pain in the arse at times, it's been one of the most important things I've ever done in my life. And I don't want to just drop a Millicene Imperial video, GG, goodbye. I would want to have a final, maybe 5-6 month, maybe a summer. That's not going to be this year though, like, because lots of other things have happened. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, I can't come back this year. It's impossible. It's physically impossible, the amount of things that are now going on. But I would want to have a final. I like what John Cena's doing. I really do. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. John Cena's having a final year. And I think that's probably, I'd be more inclined to do something like that, like a final period that has a sort of a story, you know. There's a video you did later on called Fragrance Changed My Life that had a huge impact. Made me refocus my life and getting things moving in the right direction. Thank you. And you know something, I think that video, now that you understand the context of like what I was going through, that's what I was feeling. Like that video was just how I was feeling. So I just decided to do what I was feeling, and everything was true, you know, like, and moving to Edinburgh was a big deal. It was a very, very big thing. And I, you know, was doubting myself, but I don't doubt myself as much anymore these days. Thank God. But I think that I had to shed the Fragrance Apprentice a little bit to fully kind of, as the kids say, lock in. Got late to the live. I don't know if guys got into the subject, but what did you guys make any comparisons between the fragrance market of YouTube channel compared to what they look like in Brazil? I don't know if that's going to be something I'm going to be able to answer because I don't live in Brazil. I saw another video. Sorry, I saw another comment that said, do you see the influence on other channels? Yeah. And that makes me feel incredibly proud and quite responsible in a way, you know?
I did a video, George. I inspired by your cinematic style, I did a video on imaginary authors. I don't know if you know this fragrance, Fox on the Flowered Bed.
I've heard of it. Yeah, heard of it.
I have a bottle. I love this fragrance so much, and I did a video here showing the bottle in nature. Put the bottle lying down in the flower bed.
Yeah.
And who watched it, man, said so many beautiful things about the video. I was inspired by your style, but I got 200 views. For my channel, 200. For my channel, it's below the the average?
Look, if you do a video about, if you do that same video, but you do it about like the new Creed or the new Paco Rabanne or the new whatever, that's going to skyrocket, you know. And that, and there was a period of my career where I felt as though I was on the thin line. I was walking the tightrope pretty well, you know, because it is a tightrope that you have to do. And any video of mine that's actually made it and that has been really, really successful, you know, has walked that tightrope. Like Dov Laszlo's not fucking walking that tightrope. Dov Laszlo's falling, you know, falling over and doing several, you know, flips as it's going down. But, you know, there are some videos that actually have surprised me, like this fragrance changed my life. I think that's got like nearly 30,000, something like that. And didn't think that was going to do anything. Like there are some videos where I'm like, there is an element of randomness. There are some videos where I'm like, this is gonna blow up. I've done everything right. This is gonna be it. You upload it, nobody sees it. You know, there'll be a couple of videos where I'll be like, Jesus Christ, I don't even know why I bothered making this. Nobody's gonna watch this. To the moon. And so, you know, that is fun, and part of that is fun, but you know, as I've kind of just said, it was starting to get a bit like, you know, tired, you know, laborious. It was getting tiring. Yeah. So,
and frustrating also. And frustrating.
Yeah, because you just feel like you're doing all this effort. You're putting all this stuff in. You're trying to figure this out. And this is why people like Judah Rose and Curly and all these kinds of people, I mean, they do more than people give credit for. I want to say something very important. Right. You can have nice tits and nice hair and still fail in the fragrance community. And I want to make that perfectly clear. People like Andrea and Michelle, it's not just about their looks. That's something that people really misunderstand. It's their editing, it's their personality, it's their sense of humor, everything like that. I know I've seen a load of like physically attractive women trying out on fragrance YouTube. They can't get past 100 subscribers. They can't get past 1,000 subscribers. And because their videos, whilst they look great and that's wonderful, but we've already got that. You know what I mean? Everybody's already got that. And I think that that's maybe why I was able to stay quite relevant, because I was always unique. And I was always like trying to push the boundaries of what was possible. Now, I mean, people like, if somebody comes in and replace, I mean, you know, it only takes one person. There'll be some attractive woman who has glasses and wears a cardigan and, you know, is very kind of cool. And she's got a really cinematic style and my kind of style. Then I'll be dead. You know, because like this was one of the other things. Like it used to be guys telling other guys, if you wear this fragrance, women will like you. But then you literally cut out the middleman and had women saying, hey, I'm a woman. I'm a professional woman. I have my qualifications here. I have my qualifications right here. You can see them. I am a woman, not to be like misogynistic or anything like that. I'm just being blunt. I'm a woman. And these are the fragrances that if you wear, you may have a chance with me. And that sends the adolescent and young brain goo goo gaga. Right?
We can't compete with that.
Can't compete with that. I mean, look, for a period, like most of the time, especially like the final 4 years, I was not trying to compete with anybody because I understood that I was the alternative. I was, my favorite band in the world is Boards of Canada. I love and adore Boards of Canada so much. And I realized that I was the Boards of Canada of the fragrance community. I was never going to be, you know, freaking the Justin Bieber of the fragrance community. I was never going to be the, you know, Michael Jackson or Elvis or Queen or anything. I was never going to be that. I was the underground, weird indie electronic guy. And you know, the people who loved me, they freaking loved me. And the people who hated me, and the people who didn't get me watched Jeremy Fragrance. And that's fine. You know what I mean? And so I understood that it was my own niche and it was cool. You know what I mean? So that was fine.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you kind of where I'm at, which is after this, the past year, I've probably learned will you forbid us to buy the latest release of Fragrance One, most masculine, which retails for €559, and its only fragrance is pure dopamine. I mean, he doesn't help. I mean, look, he doesn't help. I don't want to shit on Jeremy here, but he was the quarterback. He was the guy. He was, if he was in WWE, he'd be the, the face of the company. John Cena, Cody Rhodes now is the face of the company. And he was the representation of the community. And he just shat on us, essentially, for his own gain. And he's done all this mad stuff and all this crazy stuff. And he does not want to represent anybody apart from himself. And that was another thing that I was thinking, which is this community just looks like a joke now. You know what I mean? Like, this community just kind of feels as though it's been kind of shot on from a great height by, Jeremy. And I don't look, I love the guy in one way. I still would consider him a friend, and I have no ill will against him or anything like that, but it just is what it is. And so when people, everybody thinks that you're a joke and you become a meme and everything like that, then they're going to think that the community associated with you is a joke and a complete meme. And so you can't be taken seriously. So people like I and Ashton and the Curlies and whoever's the big names are kind of out of touch now. Actually, I don't know. I really don't know. You could, people could be saying to me, they're like 2 years ago. Now it's this guy and now it's this woman. I don't actually know who the big names are anymore. But I felt as though Jeremy dancing around and doing all this stuff and whatever, he did not help kind of nurture the vibe and the look and the sentiment of the community. So where I am now, if you're kind of interested, is that after that, I just went full into trying to get work, investors, contact with writers, contact with directors, contact with anybody in the industry, and basically said, hi, I'm 31. I'm a little bit late to the party. I'm sorry. But I've got all this stuff. I've done all this stuff. Can we talk? And they got a lot of rejection. Got a lot of like, don't want to hear about you, not interested. And I was like, I got this Fragrance Channel. And they're like, okay, have you worked on any television shows? And I'm like, I worked on this fragrance YouTube channel. And they're like, but that's not our industry. That's a completely different universe. And I was like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, so I am glad that I made the decision of just cutting it off and just leaving it, because I'll go through a lot of things. Tried to do another short film. Tried to do another Kickstarter, actually, which I didn't announce to the fragrance community, because I felt like I'd already gone to the well with From Here to There, and I didn't want to go back to and I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like commit, like I thought, well, you're gonna have to do a Fragrance Apprentice video, but how's that gonna look? Hey guys, here's my top 10 bullshit. Could you give to my new Kickstarter? Like, fuck. If I saw that, I'd be like, get to, like, I knew that was going to just look disgusting, and I'd never want to do that. So I tried to do it, launch a new Kickstarter. It failed, completely failed. Trying to raise like something ridiculous, like 80 grand, because I was trying to get like real proper actors onto this film. Failed. Then I learned to really kind of just manage my expectations and actually just accept the fact that I was basically at the bottom. It doesn't matter. Like I was pissed at that. I was like, I've just done 10 years of creating video content and I'm at the fucking bottom of the barrel here. Like that pissed me off. But the sooner that you accept where you are, the more you can actually make progress. And so I went, okay, the bottom of the barrel, nobody knows you, you're a fucking nobody. And the only thing that's ever happened, the only thing that is, and the only thing that you've done in this industry, in this world, in this universe is from here to there. So you're going to have to use that as leverage wherever you can. And so I've met with a lot of different people. I've met a completely different universe of people. I now have 2 mentors. One's a writer from LA, love the guy. Another is a mentor from London, who's also a writer. Got 2 writers, mentors, and now I'm, seeking representation, things like that. At one point, Ross said to me, "Come on, George, like Fragrance Apprentice was decent money, right?" And I said, "You know what? I'd rather go broke than ever return to the Fragrance Apprentice." And I know that's true because I nearly did twice. It was getting pretty hairy. And I was like, shit, I could just upload a top 10 and get like an extra, like, do a couple top 10s and get an extra 200 quid. But I was like, no, this is it now. This is it. You're done there. This is what you have to do. And you're going to have to work your way up and you're going to have to prove yourself from the start. And you can't complain about it. And so now I've got a second short coming out this year. It's been fully funded by an independent investor.
Nice.
Might have a feature film. We're going into, well, we're halfway through development. We've signed somebody like an actor, an actress, like quite a niche, but like quite popular Scottish actress. Just signed her to a feature film going out for funding. We're also, there's another feature film that I've come up with, which is like a Christmas thriller. Probably only cost about 500 grand. Going out seeking investors for them. And I now know investors. I now know directors. I now know writers. I now know people. So the short's confirmed. Might be co-writing something later on in the year. And might be, in fact, there's a huge, in fact, it's basically confirmed that I might be shooting a music video for a band in the summer on the Isle of Wight, which is fun. So all this is happening. Films take time. Projects take time. And some of the things that I've written in the past few years, I'm literally like The Secret of Svalbard, which is one of my favorite things I've ever written. That probably won't get made until I'm in my 40s, right? I'm 32. But instead of YouTube where it's like instant, with film, the film and TV, you have to slow everything down. So I'm very proud that I've got the funding for the short. We've also, we're hiring people like festival consultants and things like that to try and get it further than From Here to There, because From Here to There did have a good festival run, but it didn't get into the big A-tier festivals, which is fine. I mean, it's a sci-fi, Cannes was never going to take fucking From Here to There. But that's where I am now. And I've probably had to do in the past year, 5 years, like I've basically done like 5 years of work in the last year to try and make up for, basically not being anywhere near the film industry. And now, like, I'm completely realistic of where I am, which is, let's say the film industry is a building and there's 100 floors. I'm now on floor 3. But hey, 2 years ago, I didn't even know where the fucking building was.
It was outside the building.
I didn't know. There was fog. I didn't know where the building was, and nobody. If I asked somebody for directions, saying "Where's this building?" they'd look at me like, "I'm not letting you know where the building is." So floor 3 is still low, but it's not floor 1 and it's not floor 2. So I'm somewhere trying to seek representation as well, but that's where I
am. Did you ever read Dante's Alighieri Divine Comedy?
Is this Dante's Inferno?
Yeah.
I'm one of the biggest fans of Dante's Inferno you'll ever know. I love Dante's Inferno.
The Inferno is the first book. The second book is Purgatory. The third book is Paradise, Heaven.
Yeah.
I don't know how they translate to English.
Yeah.
If they translate to Paradise or to Heaven, but at the beginning, he begins the poem in Nel mezzo del cammino. In the middle of the road, he was in this foggy and dark woods, lost. And I'm glad that you are not no you are no longer at that place.
Yeah.
Now you are in a brighter place,
Yeah.
knowing the steps you're doing. And
Yeah.
one thing is interesting though is that you know what next steps you need to take.
Yeah.
And this is really hard to find out. You know that you didn't go through the way necessary, but you know which way it is right now to go. This is good to hear.
Yeah.
And if I may ask,
Sure.
because sometimes we think that the YouTube can be a really profitable
Sure.
business, a really profitable job, but sometimes we just don't get there. The channel doesn't give the money.
No.
Not only that we wanted to,
Yeah.
but the money that we needed. So that's why many creators have 2, sometimes 3 jobs alongside with YouTube. Your decision to giving a pause to the Fragrance Apprentice, I think, from what you told us, wasn't only a professional financial decision, because I think, from what I understood, the channel was giving you a good money.
Yeah, and I was doing I was doing Patrons like that, and
your decision was only based on an existential decision, an existential level, to do what you think that was your life decision, your project of life. This was your
I mean, I you know, I have kind of a weird relationship with money, which is I love money. Who doesn't, right? Like everybody loves and needs money, but I just, I always think about, like, I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, which is the American version of Dragon's Den. And, Mark Cuban once said something, I think this is a bit extreme, but he basically said, Mark Cuban's a billionaire, and he said, a wage is something that, your boss gives you to something like to take you away from your dream or whatever. But it felt like taking the Fragrance Apprentice money, even though it would have been better, I just would have felt like a chump. I would have just felt like a coward, really. I would have just felt like I just saw myself just basically being a complete shill, and just a filthy fucking shill. And so it was just like, I got a job in the end. Somebody just said, are you making money from the film industry? No, not really. Not really. Not really at all. But I got a job where I do like little video, like editing, like little bits and pieces of editing. Sometimes I'm editing Zoom calls, which is just like it is no pressure. I don't want to say who the company is or anything like that, because I might get into trouble. But smaller sort of like regional Scottish company. But sometimes I'm editing Zoom calls, and I'm like as in, like, you edit the Zoom call together so that then you can send it off to the relevant person and things like that. Because I don't really fully know what it is, but it's basically just cutting out the awkward pauses and cutting out like people entering and things like that, and getting it to a nice consolidated thing. This takes like an hour. It doesn't take a lot of time. It is the most creatively unfulfilling thing I've ever done. But because I get to do that, and it takes a very short period of time, I then get to do other stuff. And I've had times where I'm thinking, you could be right now, you could be going up and shooting really cool pictures of Xerjoff 400 or Aventus or something like that. And then you could be editing it and making it look cool and doing a voice thing. And then you upload it. And then loads of people half of them fucking jerk you off saying you're a genius. The other half say that you're a piece of shit, which to be honest, both produce dopamine. Both are absolutely wild. But I'm like, yeah, but that's falling back into the Venus flytrap. That's falling back into the easy option. That's falling back into, just doing stuff. Yeah. So at first it was a little bit like financially difficult because I was searching for a job. I'd left the Fragrance Apprentice, and it was like no going back. I said to my fiance, after this video, that's it. I'm not uploading. I'll get a job, but that's it. And I was an idiot. I'd paid for a new office. I'd signed a 6-month lease on an office in the middle of Edinburgh for Fragrance Apprentice work. The Fragrance Apprentice was supposed to pay someone. It was an absolutely outrageous amount of money. It was like 550 quid a month. It was a joke. It was a small room. It was a fucking toilet, really, that I was working in. And so I went, no, I'm not going to use this for the Fragrance Apprentice. I'm going to use this for, contacting people and writing scripts, and I'll get a job, So it was a rough time. And as far as Fragrance Apprentice goes, I got probably paid more. The biggest thing I ever probably got paid for was the fragrance consultations, which was fantastic. Loads of people signed up for those. I think I don't know how many people signed up for those, but it felt like a lot. I felt as though I was doing fragrance consultations like all the time. I was very, very proud of that. I was very, very happy about that. And I hope that I helped a lot of people, and I hope that, we had a lot of fun with a lot of people. And I had regular people, people came back, and I loved it. It was crazy. It was crazy. It's a trip, an absolute trip, but it's like, it felt like the more and more successful things were getting, the harder and harder it was going to be to leave.
Yeah.
And I just had this frightening vision of myself of I'm 40. It's my 40th birthday. I'm doing a 40th birthday DJ live stream. And then the next day I'm uploading a top 10 fragrances to wear when you turn 40. And I've got kids probably at that point. And I'm like, oh man, it's kind of
what have I done?
What have I done? What have I done? I mean, it's fun. All this shit's fun when you're in your 20s, had a ball. But when you're turning 30, and now it's like, well, okay, where's your career progression? Because look, I know some guys who they started screenwriting. My mentor in London, he said, I didn't pick up a pen metaphorically until I was 29. I've written 15, 20 scripts. Me personally, I started writing when I was 25. He said, you've got 4 years ahead of me. I know one guy, I follow him on YouTube. He started trying to get professionally screenwriting. He's in his 50s. Okay. And he's like, I don't know how much time I have, but I'm going to make a fucking go of it. And it's like, well, what's success really? If he's doing a couple Hallmark movies every couple of years, he's getting paid. He's a professional writer. Not everybody has to be Christopher Nolan. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I really don't know anymore. I don't know what I'll be. I don't know how this journey is going to go down with me. Maybe I'll just be maybe I'll do a few Sky Original movies. Maybe I'll just do a couple underground horror movies. Maybe I'll make it. Maybe I'll do some Marvel movies. Maybe I'll get signed with Warner Brothers. I don't know. I have no idea. And I think that the best part of it was when I stopped pretending as though I knew I had an idea. When I actually just went, you know what? I don't fucking know. And I don't know how this is going to go down. And I really don't know. But I'm just going to do it anyway. And it sounds like fun. And I'm going to give it a go. Ironically, once I actually just fully accepted where I was, that's when things started to move. But there are loads of people, I'll just finish on this. There are loads of people who are in situations right now where they know that their relationship doesn't work. They know that their job doesn't work. They know that their lifestyle doesn't work. They know that they don't like it, and they know that they want to do something else, but they don't. And my statement is, well, if now, when are you going to do something about it? Because it's going to catch up to it. I mean, look, I was a fragrance place for 10 years, gone. 10 years of my life, gone. And again, loved most of it. But those final 4 years when I was starting to think, hang on a minute, something's not fucking right. Something's not quite right here. I ignored it. Weirdly, I made some of the best fucking videos in that period when I was really doubting myself. Don't know what, you're the philosophy teacher, you can figure that one out. But I made some of my most passionate stuff when I was struggling. Yeah.
The one of the most atrocious, one of the most terrible things someone can do to himself is to lie to yourself.
Right.
A self-lying position of attitude is going to destroy you completely from within, from inside. Yeah. And in Portuguese, we have a popular expression that is literally something like this: one time the bill, the check to pay the bill comes. Yeah? So we procrastinate, we postergate, we push things forward, but keep lying to ourselves. But there will be a time that the bill will come, and the price to pay is so high.
A simplified version of that is procrastination is like a credit card. It's very fun until you get the bill, and that was it. Like, and again, if you're watching this, because I know that only the hardcore people will be watching this, I get that, and I really just want to kind of emphasize. I think I've made it kind of clear. Like, I don't hate the Fragrance Apprentice. I don't hate it. I hated it at one point, but that was near the end. I was like, this is the most, what the fuck is this? But I absolutely loved it. And when I just don't want people going back watching Fragrance Apprentice videos thinking, Jesus Christ, he actually secretly hated it this whole time. That is absolutely not the case. One of my favorite videos ever is, I don't know, let me find this video. It's actually one of my favorite. I cannot tell you how much I love this video. It's the top 10. It's when I asked you for your greatest top 10 suggestions or something like that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I asked you for your best and worst top 10. That, I cannot believe I was a part of that video. Killer Frags edited it. I cannot believe that is a video that's on my channel, and that actually worked out. I am beyond proud of that video. I will actually, I have watched that video to cheer myself up, because that is a great video. The ending, Dallas came in, he did the, there's some stuff that will be absolutely defining in my life and in the way that I, develop my skills. But it's like, you don't see, people riding on bikes, adults riding on bikes still with training wheels. And I felt as though Fragrance Apprentice was limiting me kind of like to training wheels on a bike. And I was like, yo, if somebody could just like, if a producer could hook me up with like 500 grand and a decent cast, I could actually make something that's really, really fucking good. And I also get that there are some people who, there'll be a disconnect where they love Fragrance Apprentice. They try watching one of my films or a couple of my films and go, I don't get this. I preferred him when he was the Fragrance Apprentice. Why didn't he just stick to that? Fully get that. Fully get that. Nothing I can do about that. But there will, of course, be some people, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think that was another thing. I'd like to actually sort of end with this. I've never shared this because this was kind of difficult at the time. But I'm happy to share it now, to just kind of show like how crazy shit got. So at one point I couldn't even tell this story privately. I couldn't say this to my friends. Now publicly I can kind of talk about it more. So I had pericarditis when I was 28, which is just the most random fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Had pericarditis, which is what old people get. People say, oh, it's because you had the COVID jab. I've never had the COVID jab. Never had it. Didn't really get, I'm not an anti-vax or anything like that. But at the time when they were just, you know, quickly getting it out, I was a bit like, this is a little bit kind of crazy. Kind of like you're rushing me into this. Never took it, never had it, never will have it. And I'll tell you why in a moment, but never had the COVID jab, never had anything like that. Anyway.
Also, I didn't.
No, it pissed me off because I love traveling. That became really fucking inconvenient. But yeah, so I get pericarditis, which is one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. I thought I was having a heart attack. Felt like I was having a heart attack. Not the heart. Heart's fine. It was the pericardium around the heart, the shield around the heart. I've had my heart checked multiple times after it, and they've said it's basically like you never had it. So that's great. Anyway, the worst thing about it was not, well, that was pretty fucking terrible. But the single worst thing that happened was I was getting sick a lot. I was being sick and, you know, vomiting and such. They decide the doctors kept persuading me, you've got to have this anti-sickness drug, have this anti-sickness drug, have this anti-sickness drug. And I was like, I'm in a bad state right now. I don't think I want to be having any shit injected to me that's not water or, you know, saline fluid or whatever. Anyway, they pressure me into this shit. And I don't know what anti-sickness drug they gave me. But they injected something, I don't know if it was into my stomach or into my arm. And I'm looking at the nurse. And suddenly I can't differentiate between the fact that this is a nurse and my girlfriend, who's now my fiance. And I call her my fiance's name. And suddenly I lean back and I hear, dee-dee, dee-dee, dee-dee. I look to the heart monitor. My heart rate has jumped to 189 beats per minute. And I've had a severe reaction to this anti-sickness drug. 5 doctors swarm in, look at the thing, look at the monitor. And I look up at the doctor and I say, am I going to have a heart attack right now? And I'll never forget what happened. He was like fiddling with stuff, looking at the monitor. And he looked down at me and just didn't say a word. And just looked back up. I was like, fuck, I'm going to die. I was like, shit, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die. And he didn't know. And I felt like some weird, like I felt that. And I felt like the world shifting a little bit. And all I could think about was, you know what? You never really fucking gave it your best shot. Never really did it. Never really fucking got like, never really gave it what I think you seriously could have given it. And as my heart rate came down, I started thinking about the Fragrance Apprentice, and I was like, fuck, that's the most successful thing you've ever done. And it really fucked with me, because although I loved the Fragrance Apprentice and I loved what it'd done, I was like, you could have just died, and all of those scripts and all of those ideas and all that passion and all that stuff could have just died with you. And that's it, GG. Like, that's it. And that really freaked me out. That really scared me. Interestingly, after that, you know, I changed my diet and everything like that, and did lots of things. You know, experimented with a lot of stuff, and I'm probably like, it's been Christmas and I've had some carbs, and, you know, my belly's a little bit I'm a little bit bloated at the moment, but mostly like, I'm feeling probably like some of the best that I've ever felt in my life. And I think that there's certain things that work with me diet wise, and there's certain things that work with me stress wise and stuff like that. But I'm good. But it was a big moment, and it was a moment that really kind of changed things. And I think that also was kind of added pressure onto the Fragrance Apprentice. That added pressure of, well, why are you just settling? Like after that, I've never felt as though I could just chill and relax and just rely on, you know, being the Fragrance Apprentice. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to wrap this up sooner rather than later, and we've taken so many people's time out, but that's my story, you know, and I just wanted to tell it. I wanted people to know, you know, rather than just sort of just being silent about it. And if anybody gets anything from it, you know, if anybody feels as though they've got a decision to make, if anybody feels like, you know what, I know this isn't really what I want, and yeah, there we go.
I would like to ask you one thing.
Sure.
About your the video that you said goodbye to us.
Yeah,
I can say the last video because the last video is from Millicent Imperial. No?
Yeah.
Your more recent video that is almost a year ago.
Yeah.
That you say to talk about 5 fragrances that you actually fell in love with.
Yeah.
And it was a really touching moment.
Yeah.
To see that video, especially the end when you start walking.
Walk off into the sunset. Yeah.
Yeah. This was really a touching moment. Can you tell something to us about the preparation to that video? What was in your mind specifically to choose those 5 fragrances and to do that exactly takes at the end of the season 6?
I just was like, thank you. I just kind of felt like, right, this is it. I actually like, if you look at the end of that video, it's kind of weird because I'm really annoyed because that was the 3rd take. And I was like, Jesus Christ, it's getting cold now. It's getting dark. And so I had to sort of fake a little bit of happiness at the end, which, you know what, was kind of perfect in a way, because that's how I felt. Like everything was just like this fake happiness that I had to do. But I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to leave. It's not going to be the Millicent Imperial video. It's not going to be that. It's going to have to be this video where I basically say goodbye. And so I did basically like a BBC style documentary, and I just want to do something that's warm, professional, and something that showcases kind of the best of the Fragrance Apprentice at that point. And so that was it. That was the mindset. And I thought, I also thought I've not really done a video showing Edinburgh since I've lived here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do something that was in tribute of just summing everything up, really. I mean, I was happy doing it. I was good. But at that point, I was really unhappy. And even as we were filming it, like when we cut, I was like, I can't fucking believe I'm still, you know what I mean? Like I was like, there was a mix of emotions as I was shooting it. But I think that I really calmed down when I was editing it. And when I had completed the edit and rewatched it, I went, I really like this. And to be honest, it did feel, as I was coming to the end of editing it, I felt like this is giving me quite a lot of closure, actually. And I was like, I think I could end this right here. But, you know, I don't want to end it. I do want to do, I've got an idea of exactly what I want with the Millicent Imperial video, but not just that. I know what I want leading up to it to make the Millicent Imperial video make sense. Because the Millicent Imperial video is not, it is the finale of a story that, again, trying to treat it like a television series. But it is, you know, there's a lot, there's like, you know, at least 10, 20 videos that I want to produce before the Millicent Imperial video to bring it all together like a beautiful, you know, put a bow on it, I suppose is a good way of putting it.
as just like from the Lord of the Rings, the moment that the Frodo goes to the west,
yeah,
it would be your Villas Imperial.
exactly, you know. And I know what I want to say, and I know what I want to do, and what I will say to be definitive is I would like to return for season 7. I would like to return to do a full Fragrance Apprentice kind of season of maybe 20 videos. But I can't do that right now. I can't do that this year. And I don't know what's going to happen as time goes on. But I want to do it. I think that what's going to happen, if I'm honest with myself, is as things start moving with the film career, and I feel less like the Fragrance Apprentice is like a crutch, or, you know, it basically turned into a job. And the moment that it turned into a job where I had to do it and I was forced to do it, that's when it stopped being fun. Right. And,
Right.
but, and you could argue, well, when filmmaking becomes that, aren't you going to feel the same way? And my answer is, I don't know, but I don't think so, because I've always wanted that to be my job. And I know now very much, I've learned from the Fragrance Apprentice that, you know, if you want to treat filmmaking and writing, especially, as a job, it's going to fucking suck eventually. And it really depends on like how well you cope with how much it sucks, if you know what I mean. Because like, you know, I write now because I want to write, but one day somebody's going to say to me, if I'm lucky and if I get representation and stuff like that, you need to write this episode and you've got a month to do it. And I'll be like, oh Jesus, but I don't feel like it. Well, fucking tough. That's what you signed up for, and you got to do it. And at that point, I better switch gears and go, right, that's it. I'm gonna be typing and typing and typing. But with Fragrance Apprentice, I think that the moment that it becomes an alternative to me again, rather than my only option, because that's another thing that's been putting me off. It's like, that's your only option. The only option is that the only job in town is the Fragrance Apprentice. And that pushes me away. But the moment it's like, well, you've got all this stuff going on, and the Fragrance Apprentice is actually like a nostalgic, fun trip down memory lane, that's when I'll probably be coming back. But I don't know when that'll be.
Yeah. We that like your videos, we like you. One thing that I told you via Instagram inbox, I said that one of the reasons that I like your content, and we start to like you, the person, the George, not only the Fragrance Apprentice, because you share your deep thoughts on life, or your deep thoughts on many things, and this resonates with us, or the way we feel also. And this creates a connection between you and the audience.
Of course.
And this is why we feel, this is why we miss you.
Thank you.
That's because in a certain way, this is similar to an author. Let me show you a book here. This book here. From Gilberto Freire. Man, Gilberto Freire, he died before I was born. He couldn't imagine the impact he would have in the life of someone who would born
like Vincent,
years later.
like Vincent Van Gogh or something like that.
And because we see your videos in our daily basis, you know, we laugh with you, we feel your pain when you that video that you passed 1 hour talking about 5 fragrances, really beautiful video. You start talking about your home. We feel the connection. So this is why many of us consider you a friend, even though we never have met before. This is what I think is really interesting. This is really interesting on internet, you know, because the boundaries are the limitations on geography are set aside. You know? And George, if you want to continue the conversation, I have time. If you want to end here,
I think maybe we can take it to 2:30, 2 hour 30. But then I'm also thinking about the fact that, you know, some people are going to look at this video and go, Jesus Christ, there's no way I'm listening to George ramble on for 2.5 hours. So I'm conscious of that. But, you know, I do feel that, and I understand what the Fragrance Apprentice, what its strengths are, and what it's, you know, what people love about it. And I've loved being there for people. I've loved being the friends. I've loved being, you know, it's just such a weird thing because it's something that I don't really think about what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be me. And I also know that a lot of people like look, freaking love Steve, love Red Lessons, right? Absolutely love that guy. But I don't really feel as though I know who he is. In fact, to me, one of my favorite things about YouTubers is when I feel as though I know who they are, and I know who, you know, where I am with them. And to be honest, I'm not really too much of a closed book, because I am who I am, and I can't manipulate. You know, I tried to when I was a teenager. I tried to manipulate how people perceive me, and, you know, as every teenager does, really, and tried to look cool and everything like that. But it's like, look, if I'm a short, you know, kind of pudgy, weird guy, and God wants me to be that, or the universe, or whoever wants me to be that, and I guess that's just kind of who I'm going to have to be. And I can't pretend otherwise. And so that is just how it is. And I've loved it. I've loved expressing myself. I love being myself. I've loved doing it. And I've loved also just kind of showing that I'm also a human being as well. You know, and people who resonate with that, you know, I'm really all about that. I really love that, especially on the internet, because I feel as though the internet is all just about fake sort of personas and trying to sort of persuade people that you are something else when you're really not. But again, like, people know that. People aren't idiots. You know, everybody can feel when they're being sort of, well, not everybody, some people, you know, don't, and people make a lot of money from that. But the kind of person that I want to resonate with, the kind of person that I want to sort of be aligned with, is somebody who, you know, looks at me and goes, right, well, that's who he is. And again, even people who absolutely fucking hate me and don't like me and think this and that and the other, well, at least it was me. At least it was me. You know, I can't, you know, there's plenty of other people to follow on the internet. Go follow, you know, just do it. But please, like, you know, just get over it, I suppose, you know, like with myself. So I've loved that, and I do miss that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say for the past year, I've never thought about the Fragrance Apprentice once. It's like, you know, basically ending a 10-year relationship. Like, no way. I've thought about the Fragrance Apprentice. Hell, I've nearly come back a couple times. I've nearly come back. I've thought about videos. It's never. I've written some stuff. Never filmed anything. But I've thought about it, and then I've just gone, look, when I come back, when I do another video, it's because I want it to be like, I've also got this kind of pressure of like, now it's been a year and people have noticed and all, you know, you can't just come back like nothing fucking happened. You know, or at least that's how I feel. I can't just be like, hey, and it's, hey guys, top 10, whatever the fuck it is. You know, I feel as though the comeback video has to be a comeback video.
Yeah.
And I do feel that pressure. Maybe that's just pressure I've put on myself. But I could imagine, you know, just going, anyway, and today I'm talking about, I don't know, the new Duron, whatever the fuck it is. And everybody's like, come on, is that it? So I get all of that, and I'd want the return. So what I will do is I'll give my word on a couple of things. First one, I will be doing the Military Imperial video, and I will be coming back. But when you see a new video from the Fragrance Apprentice, I want you to fully understand that that video, I haven't just made it. I've fucking thought about it, and I've planned it, and I've put I've put a lot of stuff on hold to get that made, because I understand how much the first video back is going to mean to a lot of people. And it's going to mean a lot to me, you know, to, you know, keep my reputation intact, I suppose.
I would like to say something before the end.
Sure.
Because you said that you were curious to hear what I could say about philosophy and your kind of videos.
Yeah.
And is your video that begins, I don't know if it begins the season 6 or season 5, I think season 6, the video on L'instant de Guerlain.
Oh, yeah.
L'instant de Guerlain.
Yeah.
There, I don't know if you did this knowing or if you just did this was a great random synchronization with things. If I don't know if it was a happy surprise at the end, but the result, this was fantastic because you end the video saying that l'instant de Guerlain means to you that we need to live the moment. Because one day your fragrance will run out. The bottle you have, there is a special edition. The fragrance that they do today is not the same one that they used to do in the past. And one day this fragrance you have will be empty. And so do we. One day we're going to die and everything is going to finish. And also you said one thing that was really interesting because the perfumier, the perfumist who did it, the perfumer who did the L'instant de Guerlain, she died in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. And you said that the idea of using someone's work that is already dead is a frightening idea, is a terrifying idea.
It's crazy,
It's crazy idea. And this is what philosophy is. First of all, philosophy and the intellectual activity is a exchange of letters between dead people throughout the century. With me here, almost every book that I have and every book that I read was written from dead people.
Yeah, from people who are
was
no
written
longer
by dead people.
Yeah.
So the dead teach us and show us the way how we should live. Dead people show us the best way to live. Dead people increases our character and our personality, the formation of personality. But not only dead people do this to us in a pedagogical way, but also Plato. Socrates said, and Plato wrote this to us, that the only way that we can do a philosophical thinking is after we are aware that our own death. The awareness of death permits us to find our purpose in life, but also permits the existence of philosophy itself. So we need to learn how to die to have a good life. Good life can only be cogitated after we learn how to die.
I think that's very beautiful and fair enough. And I think that the first video that I'll have to come back with is top 10 fragrances from dead perfumers. I'll do that. I mean, that's actually quite a radical title. I don't know what the algorithm would do with that one. But yeah, I completely agree, and I don't even know what to say because I think that that's absolutely beautiful and completely fair enough. I'm actually happy to just close it here.
Okay, me too. George, do you want to say another goodbye to your audience?
I just want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, and thanks to everybody, who has been asking me where I am. I was not surprised. I really thought, and again, not just saying this, to sound like, they're so humble and all that kind of shit. I thought I was going to leave, and within 2-3 months, nobody would care. Just be a dead channel and forgotten, and maybe I'll come back and maybe I won't, but I got to say that the reason why I'm here is, well, not just because Hilton messaged me and gave me a lovely message, but it's because, you know, I'd log into YouTube to just, you know, just see how things are doing. And I'd see like tons of comments just saying, when are you back? When are you back? And what's wrong with you? Is everything okay? Are you doing all right? And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, it's just, that is crazy. And it's, you know, something, I don't want to put any false hope or anything like that, but I got to say that having this conversation is what I needed. And it's probably made me far more comfortable, probably returning sooner than later. But what I will say is that, you know, practically speaking, this is it's a really busy year. I've got a short film that I think I'm going to send to you. I think you really like. It's called A Murdered Man in the Margins. I'm just going to say completely what it's about. Actually, it's about, it's a bit of an allegory as well, inspired by Plato. And it's also sort of inspired a little bit kind of with what I was going through, even though I didn't realize at the time. It's a film about two guys on a camping trip. And there's a dead body outside the tent. And one guy can see it and the other guy can't. But every time the second guy starts to be able to see the dead body a little bit more, the first guy starts to get angry with the second guy. He's trying to protect him from this dead body, and he keeps trying to distract him away with lots of different things. So quite a philosophical little film. We're shooting that in May. We actually we went to where we're shooting it actually today on the way back from the Cangomes. I did some location reconnaissance, but that's a very, very different film and very different from Here to There. And if anybody wants to see From Here to There, my last film, it's now exclusively on Circuit Cinema, which is a independent streaming service, an independent American streaming service. It's on there for 4 years. So that's very exciting. But thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'll see you all when I see you all.
Okay. And you say, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice and I'm out.
I'm the do you want me to do that? Do you want me to do the thing? Well, I am the Fragrance Apprentice.
You say your thing, I say mine. Go.
I am the Fragrance Apprentice and I'm out.
And I say in Portuguese. Por enquanto é isso, pessoal. Cheirinho no cangote. E até a próxima. Goodbye.
Thank you.